Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian.is Weirdo. Today I'm gonna do if I was gonna do masculine makeup. I did this a lot more early in my transition because I just really wanted to change my features a lot, and with hormone therapy, I've seen changes in my face, but also I sometimes I like to exaggerate them. Sometimes I'm just like I couldn't be bothered. Usually I can't be bothered. So these are just some tricks that I have that do help masculinize, I don't know, my face, my features, and things that I like to do. Um, Jury's still out on whether or not I'll do facial hair. Like I do grow a very slight mustache, which is growing in and nice and prickly at this point. So always fun to put makeup over that because that always looks great. And then I grow hair here, but not not the hair that I think that looks great on me. So I'm just gonna show you what I do. Makeup has no rules. Makeup has no gender. Makeup is just for everyone, and it's just fun. So if you see this and you're like, "This is stupid. Why would you put makeup on to look more masculine?" You're entitled to your opinion, but I do it because I want to when I want to because I am an adult man. So we're gonna start everything like we start everything. We're gonna put a primer on. I'm actually gonna use two because no, I don't want this one. Let's see. I have some great primer options for the first time in my life, and it's giving me this like perspective of like, whoa, like I have options now. This is crazy. Wait, do I have two? No, I have the same. This one, I don't know. So the first one is the MAC Studio Fix mattifying 12-hour shine control primer, and I only put this. It's a little farty, but okay. I really only put this in the places that I get really, really shiny throughout the day. So for me, that's going to be my forehead and my cheeks, my chin, just the T-zone area. I'm just going to rub that in. You don't need a lot, but you need to have enough that you get a good coverage. Don't try to skimp because this is an expensive primer. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of the most expensive primers I've seen out there that aren't like luxury prices. So I am a little stingy, but I'm not stingy enough where it's not going to do anything because then it would matter that I have it on. It's got a nice it's got like a borderline silicone feel, but it's not silicone. Like is it? Let me see. Does it have the ingredients on here? No, it's probably in the box. But it doesn't have that like super slick feel, which anything with a lot of silicone in it is just gonna melt off my face. And then this is the One Size Secure the Blur. And for me, I only put this on places that I have huge pores. Huge. You don't have to go through all these steps if you don't have these issues. A good moisturizer helps with that. But for me, I have really large pores, and if I put any makeup on, if I was just doing concealer, or if I went like full beat, you would be able to really, really see those pores. So I try to minimize them. And these are actually the first products I've ever tried, and I've tried a lot. First products I've ever tried that actually do something. So I know they're expensive. I don't want anyone to think like, I'm not like a beauty influencer, but I don't want anyone to think that like this is the only way, but this is the only way for me. Because I've tried so much and really not a lot works. I'm gonna put some on my nose because I need to have something on my nose. Otherwise, my makeup will just melt off my nose. It just doesn't like my nose. Probably the mattifying primer would be a little bit better, but Okay. Get right up in the nooks and crannies of your nose. Your makeup will love to settle there. That's where my makeup fucks up first. Hi, welcome in. I'm doing some makeup to just show how you can masculinize features if you have if you want to. Basically, nobody has to do these steps. It's just kind of another way to do makeup. I don't do my makeup like this often anymore, but it's fun to do every once in a while. So you can spot conceal and things like that. Now I'm running low on a lot of my concealers, but let's just try the concealer method today. I'm not going to do like a full face of foundation. You can do a full face of foundation and have it look natural and have it stay really long, and still look masculine, not like you're wearing a ton of makeup. But I will just do concealer today. I'm going to use my favorite. Hi, welcome in. Doing some masculine makeup today. Let me know what you're up to, what you're sipping on, maybe some coffee or something like that. My go-to concealers are the Revolution concealers from Ulta. They actually have colors light enough for me, whereas before when they first launched they didn't. So that's really, really nice. And I know they have darker shades. I can't speak to the undertones and things because I haven't used them as a practicing makeup artist yet. I stopped practicing makeup artistry a while ago. So this is the color C4, which usually matches my skin tone. And I mean, you can see it just kind of disappears right where I need it to. Now, with this makeup, you just choose what you want to cover. You can cover a lot. You can cover really not much at all. It's really up to you. I have a lot of like redness right in this spot. A lot of like broken capillaries. So I like to give that a little rub down. So I'm going to take, I'm gonna let that sit, but I'm gonna wet my beauty blender right now. I know this wetting of the beauty blender is like right in your ear. I apologize. We're right next to a sink, so. So under my eyes, I am gonna brighten a little bit. This is again, everything's an optional step. I don't even feel like I need to say that. So if I'm going lighter under my eyes, I take the shade C1. If I am going like ultralight under my eyes, I take the shade C.5. They have a C.25, a C.1, and then the C0 is like white, like actually white. So that shows you like how like light they're willing to go. Make sure your eye cream and everything you have under your eyes is like settled, soaked in, all that stuff. So I'm going to take the shade C1 because I'm not going for like ultra bright. I might add like a little bit, but I'm not going to overdo it with like this ultra light highlight. Now, when I do masculine makeup, I really focus on not highlighting anything outside of these lines because I want kind of all of the roundness of my face to recess. And I want the brightness to be really focused kind of on this kind of rectangular shape that I have here. Now, what you can also do if you do not have a strong jawline like I do, is you can kind of create one kind of synthetically by putting some highlights there. You can put a little highlight, kind of like the 135 degree, kind of create a little jawline for you. And then something I like to do, which no one else does, but I like the way it looks, is I will actually take this color, my highlight color, and I will do it between my brows because it creates the look of an overhanging brow. which is a more masculine looking look. I'm just going to add the lighter color just to show you what it looks like. It's just that extra like boom brightness. So I'm going to start tapping this in, but I'm not going to go like crazy in blending it around because all of this was kind of spot applied. So I'm not going to go and like, blend it everywhere. I'm just going to focus on the spots where I applied it. Once you start blending out the under eye, you can really see where that like really light color comes in. Because it starts to be like, whoa, okay, that is actually much brighter. Again, we're not blending this highlight color out past the a little bit past the edge of the eye. It's okay if it goes a little bit past, but not crazy. The more you let it dry down, the more intense your coverage is. But I just like to kind of keep moving because I'm impatient. So I'm just tapping the same stuff around. Bing, bing, boom. Keeping the focus right in that center rectangle. And then tapping it out. And you're gonna want to make sure all the spots you spot concealed with that skin tone concealer get covered. Make sure I get inside those nose creases. And my nose is really red, so if I start to put makeup around it and I don't put makeup on my nose, then it starts to be like a Rudolph, like the red-nosed reindeer. So just gonna blend everything in as you see fit. And then I like to go in the mirror and get really close and just make sure there's not any spots that I just kind of blatantly didn't blend. Okay, so now those are my highlighting. Oops, I just fell. I'm not sure. Okay, so now I'm going to do a liquid contour. Totally optional steps. I find that liquids do tend to look more natural. However, they're a little bit harder to control. So based on your skill level, what you prefer, all of that, you can choose to use one. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour in the color base, like just fucking pale ass bitch. So this is the lightest color they have, the fair/light. And I have trouble controlling the amount that I place. And one day I'll wisen up and I'll learn to put it on my palette or my hand and then use a brush, but I can't be bothered. So remember how I highlighted between my brows? Well, right underneath that, I'm going to go and I'm going to put a little line, and that's going to help create that like overhanging brow look. Again, that's super optional. Not all masculine faces have it, but it just really, really does make a difference. And then with my contour on my cheekbones, I start higher than we normally see with people who contour for more feminine faces. So I'll start here, and then I'll kind of cut straight down, just like that. And then I'll go in on my jawline, and where I put that highlight, I'm gonna put like right behind it, I'm gonna put another same angle, but just right behind it, put the concealer. Now I've got some neck stuff that I would rather not, so I like to contour a little bit more there. Again, totally optional. It's all about you and your features, what you like to do. Let's Squeeze a little bit more out. Hopefully this doesn't ruin me. And you're just going to try to make it even. And then masculine features tend to be larger in the forehead. I have a very small forehead, but I do find if I don't put a little bit of color on the outside, it looks a little strange. So really, I just kind of put some on the outside here, right in my hair. And then that's pretty much it. Now, another step that you can do if you have a much rounder face like I do is you can take that color and literally just drag it down in a straight line, which I will often do just to minimize just the width of my face. I do this when I do pretty much any contour because I have a wide face. And if you do it correctly, it doesn't look like you just drew a straight line on your face. So something worth practicing if you like that look. And so now I'm going to take a smaller blender and I'm going to just focus on kind of keeping that placement, blending it out. Now, this is a very cool tone color. Contour is cool. And it's not bronzing at all. It does not have any like orange tones in it. So it keeps it looking very natural. If you wanted to bronze up, you can, depending on your skin tone. Something very like gray based might not work for your skin tone. You might have to warm it up just a little bit. But I do find that with contour, it just looks a lot more natural than trying to do all of this with like a bronzer because that immediately looks like makeup. To me, at least. Now, I don't do much with my nose. Some people do, some people don't. See, I just blended out under there and it really just kind of created like a little, my forehead looks more predominant. So if I'm going to do contour, I actually kind of do it like this. So with feminizing a nose, making your nose slimmer, you want to make sure your nose looks thin, and then you use contour to kind of make it look even smaller. I already am working with a really small nose, so I actually just take my contour and put it like kind of put it all over my nose, just a little bit, but it just kind of reinforces the fact that this is not a small nose that we're working with. It just makes your nose look a little bit bigger. If you wanted to highlight, you could highlight around your nose. You kind of switch up and it would look larger, but just applying a little bit of contour there really does make a big difference, in my opinion. My professional opinion, which, like I said, I used to practice makeup, so I guess it's still technically a professional opinion. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking about that movie last night. Knock at the Cabin. It was so good. It was such a good movie. I'm so like. I'm so like. I still am like this was done so well. I'm gonna take a little bit of that contour color and just put it on my lids a little bit. I do find if you start putting makeup everywhere else and you don't have anything on your eyelids, it starts to look a little weird. So just the tiniest little bit of color on your eyelids can make a difference. It doesn't really add anything other than making your eyes look a little bit more recessed. Um, I find that once you start trying to brighten up everything and stuff like that, it doesn't look like what I want it to look like. Okay, so those are all my cream products, and when I am done with my cream products, I do like to set my makeup. So I take the same powder that I set the rest of my face with when I do my typical makeup, I guess. But instead of using a puff, I will use a big old fluffy powder brush. Make sure you get that powder underneath your eye, just so that concealer that you put doesn't crease. Get into the grooves of the nose. Now, if you do tend to get oily, even though we have these great primers, if you do tend to get oily, use a little bit more powder there. Get a little bit more powder on your brush and concentrate it on that area. But we're not going like, we're not beating our face in the same way that we would if we were doing a different makeup style. I still have a lot of powder on. It looks, if you looked at me, you would be like, that person, it looks almost as if I put a whole face of makeup on rather than, concealer and contour. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you still look like you have makeup on. And it's okay to look like you have makeup on if you have makeup on. Even if you don't have makeup on, it's okay. It's okay. The world is changing and becoming more accepting, and even if we weren't, you still are allowed to be you. Oh my gosh, I got so much powder on my Star Trek shirt. Now I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take a powder that is my skin color. This is the one size powder. It's very pretty. And I'm going to just put it on my lighter places. I just like the way it looks in the finish. And then I'm gonna really brush off any excess powder. We don't need to look very powdery. That's kind of the goal here. It's not look like crazy powdery. So for contour, so again, I'm gonna go in with a cool tone. I'm gonna take this this powder, and it is very cool tone. So this, I don't even think they sell this anymore. This one, Catrice. This is Prime and Fine Professional Contouring Palette. Okay, Queen. And I'm gonna use a smaller brush to just go ahead and reinforce where I already contoured. I'm not going to go in with a big brush because I feel like you start to lose control, and it's really easy to be like, okay, that is a ton of makeup you were wearing. Literally every single place that I put that, I'm just putting this powder. Whereas a lot of drag queen and feminizing makeup is about more curves in your face and more roundness in your face. It's really the opposite with masculinizing makeup. It's about more angles. and then taking that same color, just going down the side of your face, just like we did with the liquid. Now, if you can't find a liquid contour color that fits you, that's fine. I couldn't for the longest time, like literally until I found that. So don't worry if you can't find it. You can always do a lot with powders. If you have problems finding a cool contour color or a cool enough contour color, there's a lot of eyeshadows out there. I mean, it used to be when you were like working on the job as a makeup artist, there just weren't contour colors, so you did use eyeshadows, and we've kind of gotten away from that as makeup has become more available, and there's a lot more options, but you can still use eyeshadows. Now, eyeshadows tend to be more pigmented than the stuff that you would find for face products. Face products tend to have more what's the word? Not mixing medium, but like the base that they put them in, they tend to be less pigmented because they know you're putting them on your face instead of like your eyes. So you can either use a cheap eyeshadow, which is going to have more of that like filler in it, or you can just be really mindful and gentle when you apply it to your face if you're applying eyeshadow. So we're getting close to the end. It may not seem like that, but I promise you we are. Now there's one blush that I really do like to use. I always like to use it for this, but it always runs away from me when I'm trying to find it. Okay, once again, it evades me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blush palette. And so this is what I use. So with the blush palette, I like to bring in some reds. I know this makes a lot of people nervous, especially if you spend a lot of time covering up red in your features. But trust me, it's okay to bring back reds and pinks in your skin tone, because if they occur naturally in your skin tone, even if they don't, like, it's okay to put that back because you're placing it where you want it rather than having it all over. I knew so many people who were so self-conscious about their red tones, and so they wouldn't use blush and stuff like that. Hi, welcome in. So I'm just applying it right kind of under my eye, not quite under my pupil, maybe like a little bit out from my pupil. And then I'm just gonna kind of blend it from there. And what this does is it kind of evokes this kind of like slight ruddiness to the skin, which I find looks very masculine. But if you use like a pink tone, an orange tone, a purple tone, you're not going to get that same kind of like masculine, like it gives life to the skin in a different way. And then you can bring it up into the forehead a little bit, kind of close to where you have that contour. And I find it just looks really nice. I find if you just do a rainbow of beiges and you don't put that color back in the skin, it just doesn't feel right. To me, it doesn't feel right. And then also when you look back on pictures, you're like, wow, I just was a bunch of beiges. Personally, that's just my preference. As someone who did makeup, like I knew if I didn't do that, then all my pictures were gonna look like people would just look too made up and it wouldn't look natural. This actually was like the piece that helped people look like a little bit more natural. So I'm gonna do my eyebrows. I have my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and my lips to do. So for eyebrows, I've been struggling a little bit to get the powder color that I want. And that's been a little bit frustrating, if I'm being quite honest. Because, well, I can get, well, usually I can get the color that I want, but having it have the same stain power is like a whole nother story. So it's just kind of complicated. I have a complicated relationship with my eyebrows right now. I'm in a it's a complicated relationship. So now I could go green with my eyebrows like I do sometimes, but I feel like if we want to look like we're not wearing makeup, going a natural color is the way to go. So I'm gonna apply this so it's a baked eyeshadow that if you apply it wet, it just operates a little bit differently. Because I shave part of my eyebrows, if I left it like that, it doesn't look really great or bad or whatever. But I just apply like a little bit of, sorry about the squeaky sound. If I apply just a little bit, and if I straighten out my brow. Now my brow is naturally very arched, so if I focus on keeping it pretty straight and not too long either. And when you have a really curved face, and especially we've done all this work to kind of reduce the curve of our face. So if you go into where you contour it, it's like well, you kind of undo a lot of that work because people's eyes are going to focus on all of your eyebrows, and then they're going to look and see where your face is shadowed. So I like a shorter brow. And then I also like a fuller brow when I'm doing eyebrows. I don't necessarily think that they need to be darker, but I do like a fuller brow that looks a little less tamed than we can see with like carved out brows and stuff like that. I kind of just want it to look a little bit more like it grew out that way. So this is kind of where I'm at with that, which is very different looking than my natural brow you can see with the arch that I painted on. I find that if you're gonna kind of make your eyebrows look a little bit more wild, keeping the bottom nice and clean, but doing the top a little bit more tends to look a little bit better because once you kind of start messing with the bottom, it tends to look a little bit like baby's first eyebrows to me. But everybody's got their thing, so have fun. You can kind of draw some hairs if you want. Now, if your eyebrows are further apart like mine, you can draw some hairs kind of getting closer to the middle. My hairs are just naturally further apart. So you can kind of start pulling some color in there, but just don't, I guess do whatever you want. But yeah, so this is kind of like my more masculine brow. It's still a thin brow, but I find that if I try to like really, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If I try to go really big or much bigger with my brows, it's kind of like a 50-50 shot if it's going to look like trash or not. Hi, welcome in. We're kind of getting to the end of this little makeup tutorial. And you can even take that brow powder, put it under your eyes just a little bit. Have you ever noticed that a lot of guys kind of look like they're just naturally wearing eyeliner? Just a little bit, and it's brown. If you put black under there, it will look very obvious and very different. So I'm going to take where is that fucker? So there are a lot of mascaras and shit out there. You can go however you want to, but I don't want to look like I'm wearing mascara. I don't want to look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup or any makeup, whatever. I don't care. So for me, I use something simple. This is staple, was a staple for so long, and is a staple for a lot of people. So this is the Maybelline Great Lash. I use a waterproof because if I don't use a waterproof, I'm guaranteed to fuck it up. Whereas if I, there's a chance. And this is in black, if I'm not mistaken, but you can use a brown if you want. And all this is going to do is add color back to your eyelashes, which are probably covered in some kind of powder. So even if you do have darker lashes, this might be a good step. Now, I don't really have any lashes on my lower lashes, and every time I try to pretend that I do, I look crazy. So I'm just not even going to bother doing that, but you can do that step if you want. So this just like adds a little, it shows that you have eyelashes and you are a human. Some humans don't have eyelashes though. This not what I'm trying to say. So for the lips, they're a little powdery because of the powder that we put on our face. Hi, welcome in. I'm actually just doing the last steps of my makeup. So with this, I feel like there's so many different ways that you can do it. Ways that you can play this off. But for me, I think that the thing that I like the best is to just kind of wear, now this is a brand that's not even around anymore. I think it used to be part of Benefit or they bought them out. This is a buxom like lip color. I like something that I either wear like lip balm, chapstick, whatever. But if you just put chapstick on top of this, you're gonna get chapstick mixed with the powders and stuff like that. Sometimes I find if I use a makeup remover on my lips, I get a little bit outside my lip line and then it starts to really look a little gross. So something with just like a little bit of color. And it does have more shine than I think a normal lip color would do. Ooh, this has a little tingle. I haven't used this in a little while. I mean, you can look at when buxom went out of business. So I'm gonna just take a tissue and blot. So it looks like my lips have like life to them. It doesn't look like I put lip color on them. Again, it's just pretty sheer gloss, has a little bit of color, brings life back to my eyebrow, or my lips, eyebrows. I just looked at my eyebrows. I was like, eyebrows. So this is my makeup look. And you can be like, it's clear that you're wearing makeup. This is clearly not what you look like. And that's a valid opinion, but I also don't really care. Now, if you want to add some facial hair or stuff like that, you can add it. I find that a lot of like, if you wanted to do like a 5 o'clock shadow, it's just so difficult to keep it looking real and not like you were just like rolling around in dirt. If you were, I would say surprisingly, start out with kind of like a gray blue color and a big stippling brush, and you can stipple that on, and it does mimic that 5 o'clock shadow look. For my mustache, when I'm in the mood, and right now, like I said, I just shaved my mustache a little while ago, so it's in the process of growing back. It's definitely like a slow growing process. Very, very slow. I don't think any hair on my body grows as slow as my my facial hair right now, but hopefully that will change. I've said it before, I'll say it again. My dad, I have had conversations with. My dad also kind of was like a late bloomer in puberty, so it's like not really a big deal. But I'll take a gray tone brown and just kind of put it where my Mustache grows in. You can go a little bit darker and like kind of a little bit more sparingly. You can take like an eyebrow pencil or something like that and draw in hairs if you want. It's also weird when you have a piercing because you're like, what do I do? That doesn't grow a lot of hair for most people until like later on in their lives. But also like if I'm doing facial hair, I like to do a little goatee under here. It's almost invisible. Like it actually pretty much is invisible, but I still like to do it. Call me sadist, but it just adds like a little bit of like, oh yeah, hair would be growing there if I could see it. I just shaved, you know, that type of thing. But if you're going for like full 5 o'clock shadow or something like that, just be really careful. Be really do really really light layers and build it up to the point where you want it. Because if you just dive straight in, it's gonna look buck wild. Usually, in my experience, but a lot of people are better at drawing facial hair than I am. I'm not great at it. I will fully admit that to everyone. I'm gonna put some product in my hair. What's everyone up to? I feel like I've just been talking to myself lately. I'm like, Jesus, boring. The curls look better once they're dry. When they're wet, they're like, eh. Also, if I sleep on them, perfect. I don't know what that like. I couldn't decide if I was gonna do finger guns or if I was gonna do thumbs. So I just kind of I glitched. But yeah, so this is my makeup look, and then I'm gonna take a setting spray. Um, so I'm gonna take two. So I do want this makeup to last because I don't know when I look at myself like this, it's like okay, things are right, things are okay. I'm gonna take the professional setting spray, which actually does something. Like I said, I can't emphasize how much time I spent, how much money I've spent over the years on shit that just didn't work. And everyone was like, it works, it works, it works. And I was like, no, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't work for me. Like, it might work for you, great. But I was like, something's wrong with me. Like, why doesn't this stuff work for me? And then I'm gonna take the One Size Until Dawn mattifying waterproof setting spray. This is basically like a hairspray. It's kind of like in the 80s when people hairsprayed their face. You definitely get that vibe. Don't breathe it in, but it's definitely not hairspray. And oh my gosh, when I say that the results are incredible, I'm not exaggerating at all. When people talk about how good this is, it's all true. Like it's all true. It's amazing. So yeah, so now that is on, I'm pretty mattified. I don't like to get really like shimmery, shiny, highlighty with masculine makeup. I just don't find it looks good. And plus, I get oily, so it's gonna show up eventually, even with everything that I did. But it will show up much later in the day. Like if I had not done the primers and stuff that I did, it would already be oily. It would already like my pores would already be like huge. I think I did a little eyeshadow. I don't know. But like you would already see like my pores be like huge and just like massive. So this is my makeup. I think the only thing is like the brows because my brows are so naturally thin. I'm never ever quite happy with how they turn out. So that's, you know, one of the things that I really want to purchase when I have money is another one of these. This is the Urban Decay Brow Blade. It has a pencil on one side and a felt tip on the other. And you can really get like fake hairs going on with the felt tip side. And so, oh, good. And so you can really get fake hairs going on, and it starts to look a lot more natural. But this is definitely a product that I've used for a while, and it doesn't have much steam left in it. So this is definitely one of my favorite products. It's just a fucking solid product. But yeah, even that just like helped my brows. But my brows are so naturally thin that it's kind of like okay. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video on how I do kind of more masculinizing makeup. And this is just the kind of makeup that if I'm gonna wear makeup for the purposes of like gender affirmation or feeling a little bit more like I want to do makeup, but I don't want to like go out into the world and be perceived as a woman. Like this is like a little bit of like a protective shield for me. And while people still might look at me and think that I'm a woman, like this kind of makes me feel a little bit better. Although the tingling on my lips, I'm like, I don't like it. I like the color though. I mean, it's nice and it's not too shiny. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this, and you know, you can play it up so you could put less highlighter under the eyes and have it be a little bit darker. Embrace the darkness that naturally occurs under everyone's eyes, pretty much. And then you know that does help a lot. Like I said, a little bit of that readiness in the cheek and into like the contour areas really helps kind of bring some blood look back to the surface. And just have fun. It's makeup. Who cares? You can wipe it off if you don't like it. So I hope you have a good day, and I will see you all tonight.